The governor's race in Virginia is tightening with less than 2 weeks to go before Election Day. The latest 538 poll shows former governor and Democratic nominee Terry McAuliffe with a 3-point lead over Republican candidate Glenn Youngkin. Reporter Sarah Robinson from our CBS affiliate in Charlottesville, Virginia, has been following the race, and she joins us now to talk about it. So, just how close is this race between Youngkin and McAuliffe?
Good morning. Well, this race is statistically tied. I mean, the latest poll, as you mentioned, showed a 3-point lead for McAuliffe, but there is a margin of error about 1 point in there. So right now it's a complete toss-up, a nail-biter, I would say. And as a reporter, it's been so exciting and thrilling to watch, but I'm sure a lot of people who feel they have something at stake in this election are really watching on the edge of their seat.
So, you know, the country is watching this race because it's often sort of considered a bellwether. The New York Times says that the race will help determine a control of Congress in next year's election. Can you explain why that is?
Well, I think it all comes down to enthusiasm. Who generates the most enthusiasm and energy to vote? And right now, that's just not happening on the Democratic side here in Virginia. And I think a lot of people thought it would be a landslide. A lot of Dems thought it would be a landslide because given what happened here in 2020, we know that President Biden took Virginia by 10 points. Donald Trump lost by 10 points. So I think it's going to be a very real indicator of what could happen in 2022 in the midterm elections, because we know that it all comes down to enthusiasm and who actually shows up on Election Day. And I think that has a lot of people worried for what could be a very, very real possibility in 2022 if Virginia does turn or stay red.
So let's talk about that with regards to the control of Virginia's House. What's at stake? What's the risk for both parties here?
Right. So in 2019, it took until 2019 for the Democratic Party to take control of both chambers in the House as well as the governor's mansion. So the Democratic Party has a lot at risk. There is a lot at stake here in this particular election. And we know that we have McAuliffe, who is an incumbent, so to speak. I mean, he isn't Northam or coming out of, a term, but he was our governor in 2013 to 2017. So we think that, he thinks that it's kind of was going to be this landslide situation, and now it's not. And I think that, Congress is concerned about that, but also both chambers in Virginia are concerned about losing that power. But then we also have Glenn Youngkin, who has really positioned himself as this political outsider. He's never ran before. There's not a lot at stake on the Republican side, but there's certainly a lot at stake on the Democratic side here in Virginia.
So is Virginia considered a swing state?
That's such a good question, and I think a lot of people see Virginia as still very much blue, but we're seeing more and more now, more than ever, it is not blue. In fact, it's definitely very much purple or indigo. It has this blue tinge, but it is not at all blue. And I do think there is a very real possibility that it could turn red. But even if it doesn't turn red this go round, I think it's still it sends a very strong message to the country that Virginia is this swing state because, McAuliffe doesn't have that big lead like he did here in 2020.
So, Sarah, as you know, First Lady Joe Biden and former President Obama will campaign for McAuliffe this week. What kind of sway does the former president and the current First Lady have, you think, in the state?
I think it's it's going to be a strong sway, but I think it sends a message because McAuliffe is now bringing out the big guns. He's bringing out people he knows will generate that enthusiasm that he now needs to take the mansion. I mean, I don't think he would be doing that if he didn't think that he needed to do that and do it now, right before, the election day. So I think it's an indicator that they are feeling nervous, but I do think it will generate enthusiasm, which is what McAuliffe thinks he needs to take that seat.
Meantime, Youngkin doesn't really have that option of bringing out a former president. He kind of initially aligned himself with former President Donald Trump, who then endorsed him, and then it kind of turned out to be a misstep for him. So how is he playing that moving forward? How has he played that throughout his campaign?
Right. So as you said, Youngkin has taken, I believe, 4 now endorsements from President Trump. And while we have seen McAuliffe kind of bring in the heavy hitters to get him through the finish line, we are not seeing that same thing with Glenn Youngkin. Not at all, actually. We have not seen President Trump, or former President Trump, rather, on his campaign trail at all. We do know that he called in at a GOP rally that was last week and gave yet another endorsement and encouraged people to vote for Glenn Youngkin, but he has not made an appearance. And I think that Youngkin has done a good job of kind of really walking that tightrope of aligning himself just enough with former President Trump so that he can get all of the Republican votes and people who are very much aligned with the Republican Party, get those votes, but also kind of get the conglomerate of independent and moderate voters that both Youngkin and McAuliffe are very much fighting for. And I think it's really all going to come down to who votes, who shows up come election day, but also who can grab kind of a fistful of the most moderate and independent voters.
Oh man, you know, those few days leading up to Election Day and on Election Day, it's going to be a frenzy, and you are going to be super busy, Sarah. So I'm glad we snagged you now. Sarah Robinson, thank you.
Thank you.
And Red and Blue will have live coverage on election night. Elaine Keano and our team of correspondents will be monitoring the latest developments and providing analysis on the key races. You can stream that starting at 5 p.m. Eastern on November 2nd on CBSN.